Hello everyone. Today we are going to look into the topic diaspora and its concepts. I welcome you all for the session on diaspora and its concepts. The word diaspora originally was used for Jewish immigrants forced into Babylonian exile after the collapse of Kingdom of Judah 587 BC. You would have seen, if you have read the Bible, the Old Testament, the story of Jewish who immigrate to Babylon. And from this journey, from this history, the word diaspora has emerged. Today, the same term generally used for ethnic or religious groups of people who live outside their historical home country. People, those who live outside their historical home country, and people who are dispersed as a result of historical migration or changes of boundaries. When the partition takes place, when the partition takes place, people are forced to either to live in this country or move to that next country. Sometimes due to war or no migration takes place and people become refugees for their lives. They move out of the nation when they don't have a security, when there is nothing. People, those who live in the world of frightened, they leave the place. And people, those who keep a distinct identity that differs from majority of their host countries, they are all known for diaspora. And this is migration and a diaspora. See, the one on the left side shows how, look at that, earlier Israelites were very less and the Palestinians were more in the land. In the year 1946, this is the geographical, the land, demographic land, the population. This is the result of migration. So in the beginning, you see this country in the map, Palestine, completely of green color, which means more majority of them are Palestinians. And there are few places which are shown in white. They are all Israelites migrated to Palestine. And slowly you see here the domination, no, slowly the increase of population, especially of Israelites, and their space, Palestinian space is getting reduced, and see the space of Israelites, and it is getting reduced again. In the year 2000, you see the whole land, Palestinians have lost their land here in the year 2000. This is a typical example of result of migration, how people from one land to another land, how they move. And when it comes to Indians abroad, the diaspora, and this shows the UN Population Division research data shows uh, Indians migrating to another country, and United Arab Emirates having 3.3 million populations. Look at that, 3.3 million populations migrate. That is the highest number. When you compare with 1990, it was 0.5 million population. When it comes to 2017, the same thing has increased with 3.3 millions. This is called diaspora. And in this lecture, we are going to see the different concepts of migration and diaspora. And the idea, transnationalism idea of diaspora, which means though people move physically from those who move out of migrate to some other country physically. They move out of their body moves, but they want to settle, they want to be distinct in terms of a culture. They try to adopt the culture of the migrated land. Though they adopt, they identify themselves so and so, but still they want to keep intact. The migrated people wanted to keep intact, in touch, in contact with the land that they hailed, where they migrated to, and that is called transnationalism. Globalization is a result. After the Second World War, you would have seen how the globalization started moving. Anybody can go to any country. There are some countries which have still policies which no, they do not accept some people to settle in their country. The migration doesn't take place, and refugees cannot take shelter. And every country has its own foreign policies, accepting people from other country to come and settle down. And of course, it also decides the economic growth of the nation and the loss of job opportunities. And perspectives on studying Indian diaspora. Of course, there is a longing and a belonging. Here, people who migrate to some other land, they belong to, sometimes they themselves identified as so and so, an Indian. Indians settled in UAE, they belong to India. But sometimes they try to identify as so and so, the native land of those people, mingle with them. And sometimes they also have a longingness to come back to the nation in between the state of India and diaspora. So this is the starting point in the year 1850 to 1940. You see, from this is the point. The Caribbean moved, people moved to Caribbean, and people moved to Burma, and people moved to East Africa, and people moved to South Africa. You would have noticed South Africa, that was the time when Gandhiji moved to South Africa for study, and Mauritius, Malaysia, Singapore, and Fiji. And this results as a people of Indian diaspora, either by force or without force, voluntarily or involuntarily, they migrated to different countries. And the history says Indians were taken as slaves to work in the plantation. So from that point, you see Indian diaspora, the migrated laborers, they were laborers. They went to different countries. They worked in tea plantations, and they generated revenues for that country. But in turn, they were also discriminated. They were not paid much. They were discriminated because they are all Indians, and all the manpower has been, no, the manpower of those laborers has been used by them, but they did not pay much. So this is the point where Indians dispersed as a group. Either it is a result of war, or is it a result of the kings and the Mughals who come and invade the nation and they take them somebody with them. So migration doesn't mean merely a physical movement of a group of people. Migrants, they also carry with them a social cultural baggage, which among other things consist of predefined social identity. Before you go, you define yourself that I am an Englishman, I am a Caribbean, I am a so and so like, and a set of religious beliefs and practices, a framework of norms and values governing family and kingships, organizations, and food habits. They also carry along with physical movements. Doesn't mean that a person moves or migrates from India to Bangladesh, from India to Pakistan. Doesn't mean only the physical body of the person moves. He also goes, he carries the cultural bond whatever the value system that he learned. Either it can be a social identity or a religious belief, the religious order that he followed before migration, or how the families are governed, the values of the families, organization, and the food habits, everything he carries. And the language that he spoke is also he carries. And the myth of return is there. Migrants are not completely cut off their land of origin. Yeah, there is a myth that those people not completely cut off the land of origin. They may retain physical or sociological contact with their homeland. There are sometimes people try to keep in touch with what's happening in my own land, and that is what it says. The concept of diaspora, look at the word, it has been derived from the Greek word called diasperian, meaning disperse as a group, disperse, dia across, sperian, disperse. And the Oxford English Dictionary defines as a dispersion or spread of any people from their original homeland. The reference to the dispersion of Jews beyond Israel has been recorded in the Bible in the Old Testament, and the diaspora of both people from Asia also has been taken as an example. Now, this is the term diasporic literature, and diaspora is universally used to dispersion of various groups of people across the globe, such as African diaspora, Indian diaspora, and so on. The rest of the things we will look into in the next lecture. Thank you.